know that they should do it, but we just don't make it, the priority that it needs. And if you're not prioritizing it, it's just not going to get.
3rd of May will be the time when we will break through that 30-metre seal that will really herald the beginning of the re-entry and recovery.
How long will it take to get into the mine, and who will go in?
Look, we've got a skilled team ready to go in. I don't think there's going to be any amateurs involved at this point. The progress or the pace at which they make progress will depend on those early days and early weeks, I think, to see what they find and how they go. You've got to remember that drift, that tunnel, it runs uphill, so it will be a pretty arduous task. They're looking at kind of 40 metres by 40 metres at a time. They'll move at a pace that is safe and that enables them to do their job.
Will they go beyond the rockfall?
No, we're not planning on going beyond the rockfall. This is to recover the drift. We get up to the rockfall. That will include the area known as the pit bottom and stone, which is the network of little tunnels where there's a lot of equipment there as well. They've also got to get past, the loader that Russell Smith left behind. There's a few remotely controlled devices that have to be pulled out of the drift as well. So there's quite a bit of work to do on their way down to the pit bottom and stone.
And how long do you expect that to take?
Look, it's hard to predict. Once we get underway, we won't know what pace can be kept until those guys actually get in there, get familiar with the work they have to do, the environment they're in. It's a respirable environment. This has all been about making sure that they don't have to wear breathing apparatus, the ventilation and the technology that goes around that is about making sure they don't have to have the added hassle of breathing gear, but it'll be up to them once they get in there to work out the pace that they can do so safely.
If it's a recovery mission, isn't it likely that any of the remains would be behind that rockfall?
Look, we know because 2 of the guys got as far as they did, down to around about 1,700 metres. There is a possibility that others got beyond where the rockfall is at the moment, and particularly in that area, that pit bottom and stone area. It remains a possibility. I'm not putting any probabilities on it, but that still remains, well worthwhile to get down that far and to see what we can find.
How sure are you that this is the right date, that this is the date you're going in?
Yeah, look, there's always a balancing act. As Minister, you're keen to kind of get things going. On the other hand, I've been very careful from my point of view about not putting undue pressure on the project to rush into it. But having been down there, spoken to Dave Gawn and the team down there, and seeing the remaining kind of preparatory work to be done, we've seen that. We're confident that we can meet that kind of real start date of the 3rd of May. So there's a high degree of confidence that is a realistic start date.
And how's your funding holding out?
Funding is holding up well. We got the extra money at the end of last year. We've got the new or the equipment that's coming from Australia. That's the last big added cost, and then it's just the time it takes for the guys doing the project. So we're totally on target financially.
The families had expressed an interest in going in at some stage. Has there been any further discussion about that?
No, the start point is to get the trained, skilled underground guys to get in there and start to do their work. At some point we can consider whether or not it's viable for untrained people to go under there, but we're not at that point at this stage.
You said there's a high degree of confidence that this will go ahead on the 3rd of May. I mean, could you put a percentage figure? Are you 80% confident? Or?
Yeah, probably a little higher than 80%. We've been tracking what's been done. Look, when I talk about some of the preparatory work, things like drilling 3 boreholes, that trips off the tongue very easily. But the effort required to drill 3 boreholes, putting in platforms, helicoptering in the actual drilling gear itself, drilling the hole, doing a pilot hole, reaming it out, then lining it. That's hours and hours and hours of work over several weeks, and I've seen the effort required to do that. Then laying the lines. There's over 4 kilometres of nitrogen lines. There's a similar amount of the compressed air lines. That all has to be done manually on this, and I've been around the hillside and climbed up virtually vertical sort of cliff faces. That's the terrain that they've had to work on. So it has taken time. It's been done well. It's been done properly. It's been done safely. So I'm confident that we'll meet that 3rd of May target date.
What involvement will the police have in this re-entry?
Well, they've been involved, been working closely with the agency since the end of last year. They continue to do that. They are involved in the planning. They've been training the underground guys who are going in on how to be forensically aware, and when they come across anything that looks like it's relevant to victim identification or anything else that might be relevant, then the police themselves will make a decision about who they send in or whether they send anybody in. They'll make that judgment at the time.
And there was talk about an event to mark the re-entering. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, look, I know the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister for Conservation, who obviously has some responsibilities in the area, are all very keen to be part of a milestone event, so we will organise something around that. Naturally, of course, the media will be welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we've got some radio sort of live unfinished.
Journalists who ask silly questions, particularly of the children. The school was actually turned upside down for the few days.